The stress fear memory pathway is made up of these four areas: the amygdala, which is the center of stress and fear. That then communicates to the hypothalamus, which is controlling hormones, including cortisol. Again, more stress.
Mm-hmm.
The hypothalamus is then talking to the sympathetic nervous system. And where is the subconscious mind? It is within the nervous system. So the sympathetic nervous system is trying to determine very simply, do I need to go into fight, flight, freeze, fawn? And it tells your vagus nerve, which is a really long nerve in the stomach, all the way up the spine to the back of the brain, to stop working because now you have to prepare for an emergency. The hippocampus, then, which is the memory center, it's like a tape inside of a tape recorder. It then interprets memories as either good or bad, but everything is stored there. Events from childhood or the content from the last movie you watched, the last song that you listened to, are all stored in there for reference. So like I said, when you have a new event and it didn't happen in childhood, then you're drawing from every movie and TV show you've ever watched. So there are people that are out there literally living their lives because they saw it on Friends, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, The Walking Dead, you name it.
Mm-hmm.
And they have no idea because the subconscious mind's faculty and strength over who you are and what you do is so strong that the average person wants to think that they're smarter than they are. What makes you a smart person in this world is knowing that you are a dumbass by default. That you don't know anything about anything.
See, that's why I like
Okay?
it, man.
And
That's why I like it.
the cabal knows this. You understand? The
Yeah.
cabal knows this, and they stay far away from us because they know that they have human bodies too. Even if they're a reptilian, they have human bodies too. And that default hardware is stupid, right? And it's hackable. So that's why they hide in the shadows. It's not because they're afraid of us. It's because they have
don't
the
wanna
same
catch it.
hardware that they have to operate with. And they know that mirror neurons are a thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they don't send their children to school, because mirror neurons will emulate common behavior in any environment that it's put in. And the prefrontal cortex
right.
is a part of the brain that is supposed to put a limit on your behaviors that put you in danger. That is why people will lose executive function. They won't be able to generate willpower and create healthy goals and stick to them, because there's significant damage to that part of the brain because people put their children in front of the television set. I mean, even in our generations, I know that you guys are older than I am. I'm still 38. And there was nobody that stuck their face 3 inches in front of the TV set more than I did. I don't think.
Me too.
So, exactly.
Mhm.
So, you're degrading your brain function when you're exposed to this technology. So, basically, all those three pathways have been discovered by neuroscience to generate all human emotion. And because behind every behavior is a reward, in order to focus on the reasons why, the root cause to certain things that certain people do, I arrived at this strategy. I am not saying it's the right strategy, but I am saying that it exists and it is largely overlooked by the majority of mental health professionals because they were trained by the cult of psychotherapy. I usually tell a story, and I'll tell that story before I let you ask questions.
Okay.
What really pissed me off was one day I had a client who came to me just for weight loss. She wanted to lose a certain number of pounds because she needed to go in for bariatric surgery. And she was trying to figure out why she couldn't get her diet going, why she couldn't stop smoking, why her relationship fell apart and she got divorced from her husband. all these different questions she had. And I looked in that woman's subconscious mind for 4 weeks and could not find any pre existing trauma. It turns out she had a great childhood, and there was nothing that was coming up at all. I finally asked her, "What do you usually do when you have free time?" And I almost shit my fucking pants. Because she says to me, "I usually take out a pack of cigarettes, get a cup of coffee, and I sit and I watch Bridget Jones's Diary." And I said, "Hold on, hold on, hold on. Hold on. Hold the fuck on. Hit the brakes. Tell me that again. You do what?" And she's like, "I open a pack of cigarettes. I'm smoking like 2 or 3 packs a day. I drink coffee all day long. And during my free time, I sit and I watch Bridget Jones's Diary." And I said, "Every fucking day? Are you serious?" And she said, "Yeah, every day." And she was kind of like surprised that I had that reaction. So here's the problem. Bridget Jones's Diary is celebrated as a romantic comedy classic. It is still rented after 20 years for the same reason, because people think it's funny and charming, but what it is it has become this cultural artifact that reinforces certain themes, and those themes are self-doubt, social comparison, and toxic relationship patterns, which were
Right.
exactly the issues that my client was having.
So
So
interesting. Oh my gosh.
so here's the problem. They're teaching you that it's funny when you're self-critical and you mock your own weight and you mock your habits and you're laughing at yourself and others who have failures in society, who are imperfect. When you are repeatedly laughing at someone else's insecurities, it begins to wire your brain in a way that self-deprecation is a coping mechanism. So you find people who have low self-esteem, and they usually make self-deprecating comments about themselves, and they go, "Ha ha ha ha, don't worry, I'm mentally stable, I can make these jokes, it's fine, I don't have low self-esteem." But being constantly self-critical is one of the purposes for Bridget Jones's Diary. It conditions you to think that that's acceptable or charming. In her diary entries, for example, she exaggerates her focus on calories and how like she's triggered by her appearance and stuff like that, compares to other women different things. And then also there's the theme of romantic idealization and relationship anxiety. So it's reinforcing that you're only worthy of love if you struggle for it. If you have to run someone down and change yourself or do all these extravagant things to make that person love you, basically decrease your worth and worry about whether you're lovable or not. Okay? So it kind of normalizes that the idea that messy and dramatic relationships are exciting or normal. So, yeah, it's just a clusterfuck because it's normalizing social pressure and perfectionism. If you don't have the right body image, if you aren't successful in your career, then you're not socially desirable as a person. So my client was having this psychological effect where watching that movie every day, in combination with the effect of the television bypassing her prefrontal cortex, going through the stress fear memory pathway and entering that directly into her hippocampus, she learned to obsess about her weight, compare herself to everyone else, which caused her to overeat. The caffeine all day long was having an effect on her brain chemistry, her brain activity, to where she was lacking self awareness of her patterns. And then she would just sit there and smoke herself into oblivion and never know any different, because she then had to self soothe, because that was probably the first time throughout the day that she took a deep breath was through smoking that cigarette. So long-term exposure to any media that's portraying self-doubt as funny or romantic is going to create imposter syndrome, social anxiety, perfectionism, which cause viewers to subconsciously adopt self-sabotaging behaviors in love, career, social life, you name it.
Mm-hmm.
And they will never think any differently outside of that box because it's TV. It's just funny, right? Ha.
Yeah,
I'm not
it's not
screwing myself
real
over
kind of
at
thing.
all. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, long story short, that really, really pissed me off, and it put me even more on this path of basically going through things and looking at, okay, where is this coming from? Why is it happening? And Tavistock is who's behind that. But I'll let you ask questions because time's
Yeah.
getting away, and I know Roger has to do another show after this.
Now with me, I'm going to hold off because I know Sonia's excited. She's just sitting there. I
Oh my
know
gosh, I've
she's
got
got.
lots of questions.
So you start drilling them, get them good because
Well,
there are some things I do want to bring up, but I want to do it for another interview because I
mhm.
think that this goes deeper too.
Oh, certainly, that crossed my mind as well.
But
Um, well, some of my questions go back to when we first started talking, and I just took kind of messy notes, so let's see if I could make them out. I was just curious about sleep paralysis. I know you've talked to many people who are in the, I guess, I don't really want to say new age community, but many spiritual type of people, I suppose you could say, dealing with esoteric type topics or etheric type stuff. So, what is your take on sleep paralysis?
Well, first of all, let me not be completely disrespectful to the New Age community. They're good at hijacking information and repurposing it for their own good. So they do draw relevant points from parapsychology, which is where you'll find the empirical data on topics like this parapsychology, right?
mm,
Sleep paralysis is a real thing. Entities do exist, and they do have the ability to, hold you down on your bed
Hmm.
and do things to you because they're energy harvesting.
Right. Okay.
What
Thank
else would
you.
you like me to say about that?
That's kind of just that's fine. And there again, that topic can go deeper, but we can wait for another time. Let's see. Another thing was the sugar that you were talking about, and I know that in the stores, a lot of stores have something they call raw sugar. Do you think that's actually raw sugar, or is that just kind of a label they slap on it?
Unless they purchase that sugar from a plantation and then repackage it in their packaging,
Hmm.
it's not raw sugar. But
Okay.
if they do that, then it is raw sugar. You have something called demerara sugar, which is from another area in the Caribbean, which is also raw. How you can tell that your sugar is raw sugar is if it's dark brown or has bits of brown crystals in it, and the crystals are relatively big in size. That tells you that it hasn't been ground down very much and refined very much because it will decrease in size by being tossed around. It's a crystal, for Christ's sake. It'll break,
Okay.
So, um, that molasses content signals whether it's raw or not.
Okay. Now, do you think that that type of sugar is any less like poisonous than any other type of sugar? I mean, I know it's less poisonous, obviously, than white sugar, but should we even be eating any sugar?
The closer to the earth, the better time you're going to have.
Hmm.
Um,
Okay.
so, let's say, for example, you get your hands on some nice raw Barbados sugar. It hasn't been touched. It would have gone through that crystallization process on a sheet, broken into those tiny little pieces,
Hmm.
and then sent off to somewhere else to be broken down into smaller pieces. And that's the better sugar. Is it 100% healthy for you? No, it's not.